Hello guys, today we're going to talk about another type of questions in the IELTS reading section. It's called matching information, where you have to match sentences in the question with paragraphs in the reading passage. One skill that you can use for this type of question is called labeling. You should not spend too much time on writing those labels, but few words should be sufficient for you to find the correct paragraph matching the sentence in the question. So we're going to skim through the paragraphs quickly and take out the keywords. If you can't get the main idea of each paragraph, just take out some keywords and write them next to the paragraph. This way it's easier for you to go back to the paragraph that you need quickly and easily. So the first paragraph, there are now over 700 million motor cars in the world and the number is rising. We have the word rising here, which is also a keyword, by more than 400 million each year. Sometimes you can just read one line of the paragraph and that should be enough. Here I have info about motor cars development. You can also add the word rising or increasing. At the beginning of the second paragraph, paragraph B, we find the word emissions. Sometimes this is enough for me to create the label, info about car emissions, and then I move on to paragraph C, where it says or starts with until 100 years ago. So here they're talking about the past. This is an important word. And here I can say info about the history of transportation, or I can add the word past, and then I can continue skimming through the paragraph to find if it talks about the past only, or does it also talk about the future. And in this line, we have the invention of motor cars or motor vehicles brought personal mobility to the masses and made rapid freight delivery possible over a much wider area. So here they're talking about the invention of motor cars, and here they're talking about before. They're comparing the journeys, the distance of the journeys before the invention of the motor car. So here it's basically a kind of comparison between the past and present. Moving on. Quickly reading in this paragraph, in Europe most cities are still designed for the old mode of transport. Adaptation to the motor car has involved adding ring roads. So cities before cars and cities after the invention of the motor car. I can also add the words because here we also have countries like United States, right? So we have countries and cars. We can also add the words the effect of cars on cities. The next paragraph. A 1993 study by European Federation Transport Environment found that car transport is 7 times as costly as rail travel in terms of... Alright, so it's kind of comparison between the cost of public transportation and the car, and then comparing it, if you continue reading on, to buses or trains. So we can say cost, car transport, rail, one of the words here, and you can add train and bus to remember what the paragraph talks about. Always pay attention to the first line of each paragraph. Technical solution can reduce the pollution problem and increase the fuel efficiency of engines. Here we are not talking about solution, but we're actually talking about the pollution problem. If you continue reading on, you comparison exhaust emissions depend on which cars are preferred. So many people buy large cars than. Besides, the global car use increases at a faster rate and improvement in emissions. So emissions, pollution problem. I have those two words here as label, and then move on to the next paragraph. And the first line, clearly the paragraph is going to be about long-term solutions. The word solution should be sufficient, or long-term solutions. And the next paragraph starts with a more likely scenario, basically talking about the future. You can have the word likely or prediction, and then move on to answering the questions. Let's read the first sentence. A comparison of past and present of transportation methods. And now, because I have those labels, I don't have to read again the paragraphs to find the answer and waste time. So if you look at paragraph C and you look at the label here, info about history of transportation, this is going to be it, because it's a comparison of past and present until 100 years ago, the invention of cars. So this is going to be the answer. You write it in your answer sheet. The next sentence, 15. How driving habits contribute to road problems. If you remember, we did add the word problem in paragraph F. So most likely it's going to be this answer to number 15, and you match it with F. The next question, the relative merits of cars and public transport. Even if you don't know the word merits. Sometimes you get confused, but you know what public transport is, meaning buses, trains. And if you remember, we did add those words to one of the paragraphs. And if you remember, it was paragraph E, where we had coast, car transport, rail, buses, trains, right? So it's public transport. We matched with 16. The next sentence, 17, the writer's prediction on future solution. Automatically, I have the word prediction here, so it's going to be the answer. I don't have to waste time. And then next, 18, the increasing use of motor vehicle. If you remember the word increasing, it was in the first paragraph where we had the word rising. We're going to go back to this paragraph here. We have the word rising, info about motor cars development. So we match it with 18, the increasing use of motor vehicles. And the last sentence, the impact of car on city development. If you remember, we had a paragraph talking about cities and countries and all that, and the impact of cars on that. So we matched with D, and we're going to end up with the correct answers. 14C, F, E, H, A, D. All right. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about another type of questions in the reading, and it's going to be matching features, as you can see in the picture here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.